All right, it says that we are live today. Excited about that. It's the Erskin Music Show today. A little life, art, culture, music, more. Bringing all these wonderful themes to you today. And I'm just waiting for a few moments here before I press go. We have an interview with Christina Ward. Christina Ward is not actually here today, but you will see the two of us here in the screen here in just a few moments. And so I wanted people to get on this morning. They need to see me give an explanation for what's happening here. But in just a few moments, I'm going to press go on this interview. The comment section will still be alive. I'll be going with that in the background. But I'm sharing a screen here, and I will look to see if this technology actually works out well. Good morning to the folks out there. All right, so you guys can hear me. I'm going to try to mute me and then let this interview play. And so it's great to see you guys this morning. I'm excited about this interview. I'm excited for you guys to hear this interview. Comment section will be live during this interview. And so anything you guys want to say, I'll see those comments and I'll be able to comment on those live. Unfortunately, Christina had to work today. That's why she's not technically on the show live. So what we will do is we will show this broadcast. I'll be making comments as Erskine, and I'll be making comments as Christina, I guess, also this morning, since she can't make any comments herself. So any questions you have for her, I'll forward those along to her at some point. But here's the interview between Christina and I, Erskine Music Show. God bless. Share. Go. Maybe not. All right. Is this thing on? Can you hear me? So I know there's a little bit of actually there might not be much of a delay if I'm doing it straight from my computer screen. I was trying to out several different options there. Not a master yet on the StreamYard platform, but no somehow, some way we have the capability of doing that. I don't want to shortchange Christina's interview, so we'll figure out exactly how to do that before we get that going there. I tried several different ways, and obviously, that's a work in progress there. So at some point, there will be a wonderful interview. Christina Ward and her music. You get a chance to check out her music artist. And so I don't have any show notes today, but I was hoping that the show would be a little bit shorter today. Not necessarily because I want to get off of this show, but I am going to be on a show called Street Talk a little bit later on today, John Reisner's broadcast, and we're going to be talking about a number of different things. I don't have any show notes or anything with me, and so I'm just going to freestyle for just a second here. Some of you guys were asking me to do that anyway. You might not want me to do that so much, but anyway, we're going to be talking about some of the things that are going on in the news related to some of the racial undertones that were happening in New York with what is her name? You guys can probably help me out with her name. Amy. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I have a bunch of show notes written down for that show. But that's that show. I don't want to do this on this show. But what I did want to say is that I'm going to be talking about some things this morning of a racially sensitive nature on John's show. And, when I saw the latest video that came out of the guy who was choked to death in Minnesota, I literally was just like, I told him, I can't go on your show today. And I had this internal struggle that was going on with him because I told him that I was going to go on the show a day or so ago before I saw the video and all these other things that were happening. And I was just like, okay, I told him I was going to go on the show. So as a Christian man, I know that I should go on the show, but I'm really not in a good position emotionally to be able to go on the show after seeing that video and just, reconciling things. And I just want to ask this question, and I'll make it short today, but I'm just wondering Amy Cooper. Yeah. Thank you for that. Why do people not call me when something good happens so that I can comment on that? And then I can smile and I can laugh and I can encourage people. I seem to get more calls and more attention when there's something that's negative in the news and people want me to comment on it or something, Ahmaud Arbery, and I'm trying to put a positive spin on that. Call me when there's somebody that wins an award. Call me when there's black police officers that are recognized for their outstanding community service. So my wife and I, we were walking this morning, Kelly, and I was just like, man, I don't get calls when there's positive things in the news that I can comment on. It just seems to be when there's negative things in the news that people want me to comment on. Then, we already had this show, and that's the reason I told her I'm going to go on the show and I'm going to do this because long before any of this happened, we had already planned almost over a week ago that we were going to do a show that had to do with talking about some situations of race. And so that's on me. I recognize that I was the one who actually brought that topic up to John. And so I am going to be on his show. I think that's 11:15 today. And we're going to be talking about these issues and how the gospel relates to it. And so that's going to be a lot more organized and a lot more formalized in terms of how the gospel relates to these issues. We've got several guests that are going to be joining us from around the country, literally, for that show. And so excited about that. And I will be a lot more coherent during that time. But if any of you guys want to drop off a couple of comments before I jump off here, it's always good to see you guys. It's always good to see the comments. And we'll get back to that interview. I have about 18 minutes of an interview that we did before. My mother-in-law called in the middle of the interview twice. And so the second time I pressed do not, I'll call you back later. And that kicked us off the interview. And so that interview kind of crashed. Then the second time we did the interview, that interview is actually a great interview. We're in the same room together. You'll get a chance to see that. And that will be up. I don't know. I have to figure out how the technology works with that. But I wanted to say that once, we get all technology worked out there, that's great. Two interviews have not succeeded with Christina Ward, but I'm believing the third time is a charm. We like that number three, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, kind of a Trinitarian thing that's going on there. And so that's exciting. I want to say good morning to David Delgado, who's out there in Oklahoma. Hopefully I get a chance to talk to you soon. Miyoshi, who's over in the East Tennessee area, and Heather Patero, who is down in the Atlanta area. So good morning to all you guys and folks that are watching from Texas and other places in the world. I won't call out your names and where you're at, but thank you guys so much for tuning in this morning. We were not able to get the interview with Christina Ward functional on the screen this morning. It's somewhere downloading, and we couldn't get the audio to play. And so we'll get that going as soon as we can. Again, tomorrow, I'm going to table the conversation because I'm doing it on Table Talk, or Street Talk, I should say, a little bit later on today, and then doing that interview on John Reisner's station. And then I'm going to be back doing my own show, this show, the Erskin Music Show, tomorrow. So I'll deal with news and comments from a Christian vantage point always, and talk about the gospel and how that relates to the situations that we're facing. So I will be a lot more coherent tomorrow in terms of preparation. If it's just me and I don't have other contingencies and factors that are out there, that's a lot easier. People are starting to ask me if booking concerts yet. I put out a questionnaire this last Saturday. Didn't want to, I talked to a couple of artists, and we kind of felt like when churches not even being open, it's not really, didn't really seem like it was good form to start asking churches and venues about coming there to share. And so I waited until last Saturday to start sending out a questionnaire to my associates up in New York area, I think Chicago area, Seattle, out west, Florida, Texas, East Tennessee, Kansas. And a lot of the questionnaires were inconclusive in terms of when I would be able to start traveling. The consensus of some people is that things are not going to return to normal until late fall, which I know that's not, indicative of all of the country. And so we're looking at some possibilities, Minnesota area, Oklahoma area, Texas, Colorado, obviously. And so just looking at some areas like that. So I haven't started booking things yet. I'm about to start formalizing some bookings. I've got one camp that I'm doing in July, and it's interesting because the camp initially was a small camp, and because all the other camps in the state canceled their camp, I think this camp not only is not small anymore, it got big, and now it's going to be 2 weeks. And so that is kind of an interesting development. I think I'll be doing back-to-back weeks at this camp. That's always an interesting phenomenon for me because, as you guys know, I traditionally do some of the smaller camps that are out there, which I have no problem doing. I love and enjoy the smaller camps. A lot of cool things happen there, as well as some of the big camps. But with COVID situation, a lot of the bigger camps have been canceled. Smaller camps are still in operation to some extent. People have different levels of comfort with things, and I understand that. But with that, I'm normally doing the worship music as well as doing the speaking at a lot of these camps. And so that's been a challenge in the past because that's just a lot to do. Not that I don't mind doing it, but after 5 days of doing, I don't usually preach short sermons, a couple of hours of sermons, and then also the band and the music, it gets to be a lot. So I'm not complaining. I'm excited about it. It's just, got to prepare myself. Got to get my mind right. You got to get your mind right if you're going to do that. I've done that several times, and so there's a possibility of doing some camps this summer, and certainly we want to go out and visit some of our ministry partners. So if you are out there and you're like, "Hey, we need to meet," then certainly doing some of those things because I need to visit the people. FaceTime and all this great stuff is wonderful, but yeah, getting out there to actually see the people is great. Outdoor venues, some people have asked me about in questions like this. How about an outdoor venue? I actually, and maybe I'll talk about this tomorrow on my show, don't know why churches haven't taken more advantage of outdoor venues. I know there's a lot of controversy when people are coming and shutting down gatherings of churches. That's completely crazy and insane. And so I may talk about that tomorrow. But I don't know why churches haven't taken more advantage of some of the outdoor venues that are available, not only to have church services, but also just to continue being a presence in the community. I think this is a good, strong time to send a message to our communities that, hey, we're not scared, we're not hiding. Even if we could go into our buildings, this is a great opportunity for us to come out into the public where we can invite you, where you can get a window into what it is that we're doing. But hey, I'm not everybody's staff. I'm not thinking collectively for everybody. Everybody has different circumstances. I just know what I would do if I was in that situation. In fact, I wouldn't be in that situation. What am I saying? Those of you who know me, slap my hand. I wouldn't be in that situation because I would try to be out in the public as much as possible so I could interact with as many lost people as possible. I was sharing with you guys, I guess it was yesterday, I had met a young lady and young man who were at the park the other day. And, it doesn't really even matter to me. Um, Within about 15 seconds of us getting out of our van, I saw this lady and she was all tatted up and everything. She had pink hair and blue hair. And I was like, man, I got to go talk to that lady. Like, just the Lord was just like, go, go, go. So I just went over and started talking to her. We're cutting up, taking pictures and doing different things like that. And so started talking to her about her spiritual condition, her life and everything, and found out she was in a really difficult situation. The guy that she was with, he was in a difficult situation. He had COVID before, and he's just without a job, and just trying to point them to some resources. And like I said the other day on my broadcast, there's a lot of people who say, hey, you know what, I think people should do better in life. I think people should have access to better things. And so let me connect you with some people. Like, I think that at some level, while that's very important and why Christians need to be involved in the process of funneling people to resources that can actually help them. And I know, there's books out called When Helping Hurts and then things of that nature that talk about how difficult it can be sometimes. You can be taken advantage of and not have a full picture of what's going on there. I get all that. I understand all that. But at some level, at some time, we should also be aware of the fact that we can ourselves offer ourselves as an opportunity to help people. And so we had a wonderful conversation the other day, and spend some time in prayer. Enjoyed Memorial Day, but I just think that churches getting lost in this debate is churches. Why are you hiding so much anyway? You guys are going to force me into having a conversation. You got a very nice pavilion over there. That's cool. Well, that's a possibility. So yeah, there's a couple of evangelists jump on this thing. People who are concerned about reaching the people out there, and we love that. So that is some of my preliminary thoughts. What's coming up this week is the Erskin Music Show tomorrow, the organized Erskin Music Show with scriptures and bells and whistles and everything. And then on Friday, we do have another guest that's coming, an actual guest that's coming on the show, and not a tape recorded guest. So we'll get back to the Kristian Award interview in a little bit. But sorry about that today. But I am looking forward to sharing with you guys. And I'll do this since we have all the fancy bells and whistles now. We can do this, at least. The Erskin Music Show. We love you guys.